All right, we've all been there, right? You're scrolling through your feed and see some token you've never even heard of is suddenly up like 1,000%. And you're just sitting there thinking, how did I miss that one? Well, the real question, the one that can change the game for you is, how do you actually find the next big thing before it ends up on Binance or Coinbase? I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? Getting in super early? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. I'm going to give you the playbook, step by step. And look, this isn't about getting lucky or just throwing money at random projects and hoping one sticks. No way. Finding these gems is all about strategy. It's about knowing where to listen and what signs to look for. So let's dive into the first and honestly, probably the most critical part of this whole thing. First up, listening to community whispers. You know, the very first hints of a project that's about to explode almost never come from some big flashy press release. Nope. They start as quiet whispers, a bit of chatter in the corners of the crypto world. And that's exactly where you need to be. So where are these places? Where's the alpha hiding? Well, you've got X. That's where you'll catch what influencers and big money whales are talking about. Then there's Discord and Telegram. That's your inside track, where you can jump into an AMA and literally talk to the dev team. And of course, Reddit. Places like Crypto Moonshots are legendary for finding those tiny tokens with massive potential. Even old school spots like Bitcoin Talk. Yeah, they still drop some serious hidden gems. Okay, but that's a lot of noise, right? So here's a pro tip for you. Literally copy and paste this search query into X. What you're doing here is telling X, hey, show me posts about AI or RWA tokens that are in a pre-sale, and make sure they already have at least 100 likes. Just like that, you've filtered out all the junk and you're only seeing projects in hot sectors that people are already talking about. This is an absolute game changer. All right, next strategy, catching pre-sale opportunities. So you've been listening, you've heard the whispers, and a lot of the time those whispers will lead you straight to a pre-sale. This is your golden ticket, really. It's the first chance you get to invest before the token hits the open market. And to get why this is so huge, you got to understand the typical journey a token takes. It usually starts with an initial offering, something like an IDO to get its first bit of funding. Then it'll pop up on a decentralized exchange, a DEX like Uniswap. The grand finale, the big goal for most of these projects, is getting listed on a major exchange, like Binance. Our entire goal here is to jump in way back at step one. So where do you even find these things? Well, launchpads are your best friend. You've got platforms like DYOR Maker, which are great because they vet their projects, so there's a little more of a safety net. And then you've got the other side of the coin, places like Pump.fun on Solana. That's the Wild West of meme coins, man. It's where stuff like Bonk first took off. These are the playgrounds you need to be in. Okay, strategy 3, tracking clues on-chain. Now, this is my favorite part, personally. Time to be a digital detective. See, the blockchain, it's a completely open book. If you know what you're looking for, it tells you everything. This is where you find the cold, hard proof that a project is actually gaining steam. Forget all the hype you see on X. Look at the raw data. You want to know what real growth looks like? It looks like this. Over 5,000 new wallets holding a token in just 30 days. That is a huge green flag. It means actual, real people are buying in, not just a handful of insiders. That is a powerful, powerful signal. So how do you actually see this stuff? Here are the tools of the trade. For tracking wallets, you're going to use block explorers. Think Etherscan for anything on Ethereum or SolScan for Solana. Simple. Then, to see if it's actually being traded, you jump over to sites like DEX Tools or DEX Screener. That's where you'll spot those crazy spikes in trading volume. And here is another killer pro tip for you. Seriously, do this today. Go to DX Tools and set up a volume alert. Just tell it to ping you anytime a token's volume spikes more than 200% in a single hour. Boom, you just automated your search. Now the opportunities come straight to you. Moving on to strategy 4. Understanding the trends and, the fundamentals. Look, finding a token that has some buzz and some good on-chain data is awesome, but that's only half the story. You have to step back and ask, why should this thing succeed? You've got to see the bigger picture. See, projects don't just become successful out of nowhere. They ride these big waves, what we call narratives. And for 2025, the hottest narratives are things like AI, real-world assets or RWA, DePIN, DeFi, and of course, meme coins. If a project you find fits perfectly into one of these, well, it's got a massive tailwind behind it and a way better shot at getting noticed by the big exchanges. And please, for the love of crypto, always check the fundamentals.
This is the difference between smart investing and just straight-up gambling. You have to read the white paper. Does their idea even make sense? Go to their GitHub page. Are the devs actually writing code, or is it a ghost town? And probably the most important question, has a real security firm like Certic actually audited their code? Don't skip this part.
All right, we've covered all the fun stuff. Now we gotta talk about the final boss in this game, avoiding risks. And I'm gonna be super blunt here. For every one gem you find, there are a dozen scams just waiting to take your money. I really can't say this enough. This early-stage, pre-sale world, it is the absolute Wild West. It's packed with projects that have zero intention of building anything. Their only goal is to hype it up, take your cash, and vanish. That's a rug pull, and you have to be on high alert for them, always. So, here's your crypto survival kit. These are the non-negotiables. First, DYOR. Do your own research. Use tools like Rugdoc or honeypot.is. They'll scan a contract for you and flag anything sketchy. Second, diversify. Seriously, only put a tiny, tiny fraction of your portfolio, like 1 or 2%, into these moonshots. And last, verify everything. Triple check every link, every address. The scammers are tricky. So there you have it, the full playbook. Finding the next crypto gem, it's not luck, it's a system. It's about listening to the right conversations, digging into the on-chain data, understanding the big picture, and most of all, being smart about the risks. You have the strategy now. The question is, what's your first move going to be?